Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us today at our virtual candidate forum for this year's NACOLE's election for board members. I want to thank you for taking this time to participate in this process. And I want to thank our candidates for taking the time out of their day to also participate and answer any of your questions. I want to give you an idea of how this is going to run briefly. Oh, and by the way, my name is Anthony Fennell. I am the president of NACOLE, if you don't know. Uh, I will have each candidate speak and introduce themselves, and they will have approximately 5 minutes to tell you about themselves, why they want to be on the board, and what they plan to uh, accomplish while being a board member. And then once we have gone through each of our candidates and allowed them the opportunity to speak, we will begin taking questions from each of you and pose those questions to the candidates. While you are listening to the candidates, you may start preparing and queuing up your questions. Ms. Tina Barr, our Director of Training, will be facilitating and coordinating the questions. So you can start that process. And we also have our Executive Director online, Ms. Cameron McElhaney, who will assist as needed with technology and also any other issues that may happen behind the scenes. So without further ado, I would like to introduce you to our candidate for NACOLE President, Ms. Florence Finkel, affectionately known as Flo. So Flo, the floor is yours.
Just wanted to acknowledge, thank you, Anthony, but I'm running unopposed for president as George is for vice president, so I don't want to take up, I think what we're doing here is we didn't want to take up a lot of time because we have a lot of candidates for the three spots. But I'm Florence Finkel. I've currently serve as NACOLE's vice president. I've been on the board for 8 years. I've chaired the Training, Education, and Standards Committee, the Annual Conference Committee. I currently chair the Finance Committee. I've been involved in civilian oversight for more years than I care to acknowledge, but dating back to the 1990s. Attended my first NACOLE conference in 1997 and have worked in both police oversight and internal Department of Correctional Accountability. I have served as a practitioner as well as served on a federal monitoring team on a special commission in the District of Columbia post George Floyd to make recommendations for change, and currently work as a consultant with OIR Group and have served in that capacity as an interim independent city police monitor. So that's my 5 minutes, which is more like two.
Thank you, Flo. And the next person you'll hear from is our candidate for vice president, who's also running unopposed, George Perez Velez.
Well, thank you, Anthony. And I'll echo Flo in her brevity in her remarks. My name is George Perez Velez. I've been serving on the NACOLE board for the last 5 years. I am your treasurer. I've been institutional member or individual member of NACOLE for about 16 years. And my background as oversight is to serve in two oversight agencies and continue to serve in oversight agency in the state of California. And one of the things that I've done in my career, apart from writing policy and stakeholder engagement, is also the fact that I've been a public safety advisor to legislatures at the state, local, and city level. I want to take my time and echo Anthony as well and say thank you very much for your interest in serving on this board. This board is a hardworking board, and we need the skill set that you folks bring to the board to make it successful and to keep NACOLE growing. So thank you so much for participation. And I think that gives me 2 minutes here, Anthony, just to not or under the time from Flo so that we can be on the same page. Thank you so much and welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, George. All right. Without further ado, I would like to introduce you to uh, Mr. Jerry Threet, who is our first candidate. So, Mr. Threet, the floor is yours. You're on mute, sir.
Thank you, Anthony. I just want to say, because I'm going on the trip to the conference, I needed to get a vaccination. The only one available was last night. So I've just been double vaxxed with cold and flu, and I'm a little bit down, so bear with me. I'll try to speak up a little bit. And please, everyone, go to the website and look at everyone's bios and questionnaires. I personally found out a lot of great information about my fellow candidates there, and I think it's well worth your time to go take a look. So my name is Jerry Threet. I'm very passionate about community-oriented, evidence-based civilian oversight of law enforcement and corrections. I consider it a calling, and working in this field has helped provide meaning to my life in a much greater way than it was before when I was working solely as an attorney. I'm semi-retired now, but continue to contract for part-time and limited time engagements because I really love this work and I want to keep doing it, even though I don't have to do it at this point in my life. If there's a line connecting my professional and volunteer activities through my life, it would be community service and passion about human rights for all people, but especially for people who've been disempowered by our systems. As a volunteer, I've led human rights organizations such as the Harvey Milk LGBTQI Democratic Club in San Francisco, the Sonoma County Commission on Human Rights, and in those positions, I've worked really hard to empower people who've been disempowered by our systems. As a professional, I've worked as an attorney and a policy analyst to protect and empower low-income people, to prosecute those who exploit the powerless, and to ensure that our legal system works better for the lives of all people, but especially for those who've historically been ignored and shut out. I became an attorney because I believed, and I continue to believe, that when a just law is applied equally, fairly, and objectively, then justice is actually possible. And my professional work has been to ensure that this ideal is realized, and my work in oversight has been about the same ideals. I want to highlight a couple of things more in this intro. First, I consider curiosity a really essential trait for being on a board or working in oversight. And I'm a very curious person. I love to learn. I love to explore things and find out different perspectives and try to fit those things together into a rational way of understanding a situation and solving a problem. And second, I believe that only through advancing evidence-based recommendations for change can we hope to change the systems that so often harm those of us who are most vulnerable. So we must spend the time to reach conclusions that are well-rooted in facts, or we cannot succeed in making the changes that we're seeking. Now, I'd like to mention just a couple of goals I would work on if elected. First, I think NACOLE's grown into a wonderful, vibrant, large organization. I want to see us become more engaged and transparent with our members, despite the real challenges that exist with such a large organization at this point. And I have a couple of ideas about this. First, I would like to explore the possibility, and bear with me, staff, as I say something that may sound shocking, but the possibility of having Zoom board meetings on Zoom with one opportunity per meeting for our membership to make comments. And second, I'd like to see organizational members regularly engaged on how NACOLE can better support them in their work. And I would commit as a board member to meeting monthly with one organizational member to sit down with them and hear their feedback on that subject. I also support the efforts already underway to support oversight under attack in so many jurisdictions across the country. And I want us to do more in this area to the extent possible. I'd be happy to lend my time to such efforts, and you can find more of my goals outside of these on the website. Also, just want to mention that I practice both on the correction side and in the police oversight side. And I continue to believe that our work as an organization in corrections is super important and would make sure that continues to be a priority. So thank you for the opportunity to introduce myself and for listening, and I hope you will consider a vote for me. Thank you.
Right on the mark, Jerry. 5 minutes. Good job. Thank you. Thank you. That's Jerry Threet, everyone. Ronald, welcome. I see you were able to join us.
Yeah, I'm sorry I'm late. Traffic ran a little longer than I expected it to.
That's all right. I will have our next candidate go, but then afterwards you will be the one to speak. What we're asking our candidates for the intro is to speak for about 5 minutes. As you witnessed Jerry, just tell us about yourself and your goals and ideas. And then once everyone has had a chance to speak, we will take questions from the attendees. And then each of you will have an opportunity to answer those questions if you so choose. All right.
Thank you.
All right. So kind of going out of order a little bit, Mr. Rashid Kaba, you're next.
Okay, I'm here.
You may begin.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm using my headphone and I'm sure you're getting me clear. Are you getting me?
Yes, yes, we can hear you. Yes, sir.
Okay. So what's my question again, please?
Oh, this is your opportunity to speak to the attendees and tell us about yourself and why you want to be on the board.
Okay. So my name is Rashid Kaba from Sierra Leone, West Africa. So I get in contact with NACOLE back in 2019 by a web search because I joined the oversight wall in 2014. So, but before that, I have a pre-career in human rights organizations called a Child Fund Sierra Leone. So we're about taking care of street childs and street children, and some of them were marginalized and use police excesses against them. So, and I later have the job in 2014 with the Independent Police Complaints Board in Sierra Leone, the first police oversight established in Sierra Leone. So in fact, I first joined them in my career as a complaint handling officer. So I joined them as a complaint handling officer, and then I rose to the rank of the executive board secretary where I am today now. So from complaint handling officer to investigation officer to senior investigation officer, and now senior investigation officer to head of complaints and investigations. Then I finally reached the point where I am now, which is executive board secretary, like an administrative head of an oversight institution in Sierra Leone. So I have been engaging in oversight. I became inspired, like I said, from the time when I was with that NGO in the human rights organizations. I was born in a community where so many police excesses and brutalities were, in the country where people, you cannot say 1 out of 5 have suffered police excesses and police brutality. So, and because I am somebody who is very passionate in finding justice, and I find myself well placed at the Independent Police Complaint Board, then I begin to search where can I connect my institutions to other institutions. Then I have to go. First, my first encounter was with APCOF based in South Africa. South Africa have an APCOF. APCOF is a African Policing Civilian Oversight Forum. It's the same partner like the NACOLE. It's not a government agency because the institution I work for is a government agency, but they are like a independence agency, like a civil society organizations. But these are institutions that build up civilian oversight structures in Africa. So I first have to reach out to APCOF and say we are interested. I'm just being employed at the Independent Police Complaint Board, so I want to I really want to expand my knowledge because I am the kind of person that I'm really passionate about justice. I hate injustice and I want to fight any injustice. So this is how I open up my civilian oversight world. Then I had opportunity for the director of APCOF at that time. It was Shontit, and then he replied to us, and then instead of him becoming a consultant to us, become like a donor seeker. So Shanti has to get some contact with the United Nations Development Programs and had a program with me. And I had my first civilian oversight training in 2017 in South Africa at the University of Pretoria. Then I came back and I have to seek again and I have to find Kenya. Then I came back in 2019. Then I found NACOLE. I found NACOLE and I have to say, okay, look, we are a government agency, but my ambition for this institution is very great. And the truth was, I was one of the founding member of that institution. And I was so passionate. And I always tell myself that passion makes things happen. We must live in a society where we can see justice exploit. People must have justice. For law enforcement officers must be accountable for what they do. And I was just passionate about that. Then I found NACOLE. NACOLE, I discussed at a board meeting, at my management meeting. And they were like, oh, you are dreaming. I said, I'm not dreaming. This is institution that have gone to their website. They are very legit. They are very okay. So we're going to do them. So the first attempt to go to NACOLE conference was in 2020. And I had to tell my superior at that time, I said, okay, no, you have to go first. When you come back, and I will go. And I want to ensure that we open up our institutions to, let's have a network of civilian oversight institutions where we can share knowledge to each other institutions. Institutions like us, we are very small. We are very small as a government agency, and government in Africa does not normally pay attention to accountability institutions. And by us getting a network of outside the remit, we can have it all. So then she was given the opportunity to go to NACOLE in 2020. I think it was somewhere else. Yes,
Mr.
please. Yes, please.
Time wrap up, please. We're at time.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you. Yeah, that's okay. So because of my ambition, my passion in fighting justice and human rights, so I found myself open up a network, and I found NACOLE, and I'm very happy. And I attended my first conference in Fort Worth, and I've always been in touch. I attend almost a monthly conferences, and I see it that if we have a network of oversight institutions that will speak to government, because government doesn't provide the space, but does not pay attention to it. So my intervention is NACOLE is to strengthen the space wherein we can tap government so they need to pay attention to institutions they establish to investigate police officers, and also to have a more strengthened network. So I stop here.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Mr. Kaba, the next person up is Mr. Ronald Pierce.
Good afternoon, all. My name is Ron Pierce. I am the Deputy Ombudsman for the Correctional Ombudsman's Office for the state of New Jersey. It is an independent organization that overlooks the correctional facilities of the state of New Jersey. I got involved in this work because I found a need while I was incarcerated to bring some credibility to the office of the Ombudsman's Office. Now, in New Jersey, the Ombudsman's Office existed in the legal advocate's office, the public advocate's office in the 70s up until the early 90s, where it was removed. When they removed the public advocate, they put it in with the Department of Corrections, and it lost all credibility. People would not even call them for the most part. So while I was incarcerated, I had the great opportunity to become part of the NJ STEP experiment and started getting my college degree through this organization, through Rutgers University. I got my associate's degree while inside. When I came home, I knew I wanted to stay focused on maintaining something to make the conditions better inside than I had to deal with. So I continued my education in justice studies, and I started working for somebody called the New Jersey Institute for Social Justice. Now they had a criminal justice reform pillar, and I worked closely with them as a policy analyst. And we found ourselves in two things. One, we were the civilian monitors of the consent decree. So we were doing oversight of the police. And I found that to be very interesting. Part of my duties was to work with the team to, excuse me, to work with the team to develop public hearings and to give feedback on what we heard from the public. And then we had to go into the communities and do surveys to find out what the community needs were, how they felt about the police, and what they thought the police needed to do. So that gave me some practical experience. And then my other part while I was at the Institute as a policy analyst was to bring the legislation, to bring the correction ombudsman's office out of the DOC and make it independent. And we did that through legislation called the Dignity Act. I was part of the team that led the fight. And part of my main thing was to make sure it came from the ground up so that people understood that this abstract idea, right, really had human effects to it. And that was part of how I was able to maintain. And that's something I want to bring to NACOLE. NACOLE's body, for as great as it is, and it does have people with lived experience, but I think I could bring to the board a lived experience that could bring another perspective to the board on what this body that is being affected by policies and procedures and how oversight can play a greater role in maintaining and growing the understanding to bring back best practices so that we can make a more humane system of incarceration. I ended up getting my bachelor's in justice studies with a minor in sociology, and I went further and I went to Rutgers School of Criminal Justice and got my master's degree in criminal justice. So I bring with me not only the lived experience and the understanding and the perspective of somebody that was incarcerated. I bring the knowledge and research practices of the people that actually are creating the legislature and the literature to maintain how we go about best practices and how we find the best practices. So I want to bring to the board all of my talents. And after we passed the Dignity Act, and I know I'm running low on time, but after we passed the Dignity Act, they created an advisory board, which was part of the Dignity Act, which I was on the original advisory board and helped the governor to find Terry Schuster, who is an amazing ombudsperson that I now work for. And I think all of my experience and all of my training helps me and prepares me to actually help this board to grow into an understanding of the one side of oversight that really covers a lot of ground, and that is the prison oversight. But I have experience also in the police oversight through the Institute. So I'm going to wrap up there by saying I think I could help the board. And I believe that the board would be better served by me being able to advance this kind of knowledge. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. All right. Our next candidate that will speak is Mr. Bart Logue. You're on mute, Bart.
I'm like, where did it go? Hey, everyone. My name is Bart Logue, and I'm running for re-election as a member at large on the NACOLE board. I've just had the opportunity to finish my first 3-year term, during which I've also served as board secretary for the last 2 years. And this year, I had the pleasure of co-chairing the Internal Operations Committee alongside John Alden. I currently serve as the police ombuds for the city of Spokane, Washington, and I've been deeply involved in civilian oversight in NACOLE since 2016. I also serve as a governor-appointed commissioner for the Washington State Criminal Justice Training Commission. And before entering oversight, I spent nearly 26 years in the Marine Corps as a military police officer and a foreign area officer, and I culminated my career as a diplomat to the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan. I'm also very active in my community service, and I've served on several boards of directors. The longest termed one was Leadership Spokane, and I also served there as chair for 2 years. And like Jerry, I want to also just recognize this incredible field of candidates. You know, from a board perspective, this is exactly what we were hoping to see. You know, just a diverse, resilient, and passionate group of professionals that are dedicated to accountability. And as I, reading through everyone's background materials, it reminded me that no matter who you choose in this difficult decision that will come forward, NACOLE's future is in very capable hands. And I also recommend that you take time and read everybody's background materials. You know, when I began this work 10 years ago, I was new to oversight, and I came in and I was kind of shell-shocked, right? Like many of you, maybe most of, or if not all of you, I faced intense political resistance and pressure and pushback from the police. And attacks were frequent, and I just felt alone in this work. But it was NACOLE and many of my colleagues within it that helped guide me through those challenges. And as they did that, they showed me that what I was experiencing, it just wasn't an exception, but it's just a shared reality in this field. And that support made me stronger, it made me more resilient, and it made me deeply committed to helping other people in the same way. Because to me, NACOLE's greatest strength is its members. Our organization doesn't run on titles and prestige, it just runs on hard work. And much of NACOLE's impact comes directly from the dedication of its members, which is why we've made capacity building one of our top strategic priorities over the last several years. You know, the best way I feel that we can empower oversight professionals is by all of us giving back to NACOLE itself. So all these folks that have put themselves out here for this board candidacy, I just salute you. It's just great. Since 2019, I've served on 5 separate NACOLE committees. I've been on the Strategic Planning Committee, the Membership Development and Support Committee, Policy Development Committee, Elections and Bylaws Committee, and several years on the Internal Operations Committee. I must say, I got to actually run this forum last year from Anthony's seat, and it was it was more fun experience last year. But I've also volunteered as a peer mentor, and I've also had the opportunity to help conduct a peer review for the New Orleans Office of the Independent Police Monitor for NACOLE. And, you know, that experience, it just reaffirmed for me that NACOLE's collective expertise is its backbone. And observing how other offices operate, if you have the chance, and you can just see the incredible work being done by leaders like Stella Cement in New Orleans, it just reminded me of just how much we can learn from each other. And I've taken all those experiences and it's helped me actually become better in my own city. You know, in Spokane, I focus on building a more resilient oversight system, one that can endure over time. You know, policy reform, we all do that, right? And restoring transparency and accountability through closing reports. But then I'm also working with the chief to influence police culture positively. And the chiefs actually will come to me to be on a panel at this coming conference. But these successes are possible because NACOLE exists to connect and support and strengthen all of us. And I get some of these ideas from many of you. But I think right now, make no mistake, oversight's under attack, and we all know it. And that makes this moment and this organization just more vital than ever. We just can't afford to be reactive. We have to be unified, proactive, and strong. And that means investing in NACOLE's foundation, its structure, its members, and its capacity, so that no oversight professional ever has to stand alone as they go through their stuff. So yes, I'm asking you for your vote, but more importantly, I'm asking you for your continued commitment to NACOLE. I want every member to actually consider where your strengths can best impact NACOLE. We have a variety of committees and we need you now more than ever. So if you have not served on a committee, please consider doing so. We need you. If re-elected, I'll bring energy, consistency, and dedication to the daily work of the board. I promise I will do the work for the committees and I'll do every task that Cami and Anthony or Flo throws my way. I believe in it. It's helped me, and I'm committed to doing my best to help everybody else through that. Thank you to all the candidates that stepped up to serve, and thank you for all listening to me. If I can assist you in any way, please don't hesitate to reach out. I believe we're stronger together, and if not elected, I'll see you on a committee. Thanks.
Thank you, Bart, very much. Our next candidate is Mr. Jason Wechter.
Thank you, Anthony. Thank you to the NACOLE members who are attending to watch these presentations, and thank you to my fellow candidates for taking the bold step of putting yourself out there. I know it's not easy, stepping forward and having to write your bio and answer the questionnaire and be here. Not the most comfortable situation. I apologize. I've been working on a deadline for the presentation I'm going to be giving at the NACOLE conference on Sunday for the investigators forum. So I didn't have time to prepare something. I'm going to speak extemporaneously. But I've been involved with civilian oversight since 1983. I became involved with NACOLE. I've actively involved since 2003. I've served on the board for the past 3 years, and I'm seeking re-election because there are a number of projects that are in progress and new projects I want to undertake. To tell you a little bit about myself, I began my career as a criminal defense investigator in 1979, primarily working for indigent defendants in the San Francisco Bay Area. And in meeting with them, I would hear their stories, which were moving, sometimes tragic, sometimes made me feel a sense of outrage at injustice because of poor police work, because of the machinations of the criminal legal system. And the best I could do there in that capacity was to help protect an individual client from injustice by protecting their constitutional rights. I saw a lot of bad police work, but I felt I was only being reactive. And when there was an opportunity to create civilian oversight in San Francisco in 1982, I worked on the campaign to create San Francisco's Office of Citizen Complaints, now known as the Department of Police Accountability. And I felt this would be an opportunity to be proactive, to go to the root causes of police misconduct, of injustice, and try and change the system, try and change the policies, but most of all, hold individual officers accountable. When I would interview people who had filed complaints as a criminal defense investigator, I'd say, "What happened?" They say, "I have no idea. No one ever told me. I don't feel it was worthwhile for me to make that complaint." So I went to work at the Office of Citizen Complaints as one of its first supervisors, with the goal of ensuring that there was accountability, there was transparency, and there was communication. And I have worked for a total of 3 different oversight agencies as an investigator or supervising investigator. That's given me a really interesting perspective on the challenges and needs of different oversight agencies with different levels of authority and different resources. And so I've found tremendous support in NACOLE, both individually and for the organizations I've worked for, to provide resources, to show us best practices, to give us the support we need when we, it's sometimes doing this work is sometimes like Sisyphus pushing the boulder up the hill, and you get there and it rolls down the other side. And NACOLE, at least you have people saying it's worthwhile. Go on and push it up against. Maybe it will stay there this time. And I think that's really necessary. In my work on NACOLE, I've had the privilege of helping to draft NACOLE's Code of Ethics and its qualification standards for oversight investigators. If you look at my candidate statement, you will see the list of the committees I've worked on. For the past 3 years, I've co-chaired the Training, Education, and Standards Committee, and I felt we've been able to try to address an important need by producing some very important webinars with a lot of valuable information. One of the projects we have undertaken and that is in progress is creating a robust section of resource materials on the NACOLE website. This is something we used to have. This will include reports, articles, information on best practices, enabling legislation for different oversight entities. Really, a lot of the tools that anyone interested in establishing oversight or in increasing the effectiveness of their oversight agency will find really essential. So that's a project I very much want to continue and complete. And that's one of the many reasons why I'm seeking another term on the NACOLE board. I think I bring a valuable perspective as a line investigator, as someone who has dedicated themselves to addressing injustices. And I hope you will consider me. I'm not the best at self-promotion or politicking, but again, please take a look at my candidate statement and bio, and I think I expressed it better there. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. Next is Ms. Yohara Alvarez.
Hi, thank you so much, Anthony. Thank you so much, everyone. I want to echo everyone's sentiment, Bart's sentiment about feeling very extremely honored just to even be here. I really deeply admire and respect everyone that is on this call, my fellow candidates. So, thank you so much. My name is Yohara Alvarez. I'm the senior advisor at the New York City Civilian Complaint Review Board. I am 2 months shy of a decade of having a decade of experience in this very, niche, hard, difficult, rewarding, but incredible field. I'm a key member of the executive team here at the CCRB. So I manage all external affairs essentially. So I lead the intergovernmental affairs team, the policy team, our communications team, and our outreach department. I also really make sure that when issues come up, I'm really thinking more about systemic ways of systemically addressing some issues in terms of efficiency and making sure that we're doing the best work possible with the limited resources that we all have. In my time here, I've secured over $1 million in dedicated public education funding. And that was through not only advocacy, but just having feet on the ground, meeting fellow government officials and organizations that, perhaps had never heard of CCRB, but sharing the work that we do really, puts us in the forefront when thinking about funding. In my time here, I've also created the first of its kind Youth Advisory Council to further engage youth in the work that we're doing. Our outreach team completed the largest amount of presentations in agency history, which is 1,000 plus. Another aspect of it is just the legislative angle is really implementing innovative policies, legislation and charter revisions to really try to push our message forward. How all of this applies to being on the NACOLE board is that I want to really bring that energy here. We're all kind of in this space of this almost existential attack and literal attack on civilian oversight, and I think it's really a great time to not only build trust with our community members, but really look outside of our usual partners and really expand our tent. My goal as a candidate, as a board member, would be to broaden our coalition, really wanting to make some targeted recruitment and building strategic partnerships with organizations that we haven't engaged with previously. I really want to create or help co-create a comprehensive communications plan to really amplify NACOLE's message and really bring the impact not only on the local level nationwide, but even internationally. And finally, I really want to continue the work of the youth engagement aspect, which I think NACOLE is doing a really great job. And there have been sister YACs kind of sprung up around the country. We're really taking it a step forward to really have a national youth engagement standard to really create the next generation of oversight advocates, because we're really going to need that. Just in closing, this work is now more important than ever. And I just feel like this is the time to bring, some more energy, thought leadership, just a bold vision on where we want to go together. I think that if we just, think a little bit outside of the box, we could really get to a place that we are not just protecting civilian oversight, but expanding it, strengthening it, and really paving the way so that future generations don't have to deal with some of these issues that we're currently facing.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Next is Ms. Tanya McClary.
Hello, everyone. And I also wanted to echo the thoughts of all the fellow candidates that are talking about looking at these wonderful bios. And I agree with Bart, whoever you choose, I think you're going to be in good hands. A lot of dedicated folk on this line today. And my name is Tanya McClary, as Anthony said, and I am currently the Executive Director for the Citizens Police Oversight Commission in Philadelphia, PA. And I have a unique, I think, lens in this work. So I've been in this work and worked in 3 different cities, and in each of those cities, I was a first. So my first rodeo here was in New Orleans at the Independent Police Monitor Office, and I became the first chief monitor over use of force. So I had to come into the office, build the use of force division, and that was an interesting experience because, of course, these are the cases that get the New Orleans Police Department on the front page of the paper. But it was also a unique experience because New Orleans is also under consent decree. So it was very interesting navigating this space with the local agency, IPM, as well as working with the consent decree team. And so I learned a lot there and also had very unique experiences. While in that role, I had the wonderful opportunity, and I still keep in contact with many of these families now, of really working with the families who have had loved ones that had been killed by the NOPD and help them form an organization called Families Overcoming Injustice. And that organization actually founded a family bill of rights. I think it's probably one of the first in the country where they came together, talked about the experiences, the unique experiences they had as family members, and actually worked for years to get the New Orleans Police Department to kind of adopt this. And it's a family bill of rights. It's like, these are the things that every family should have if their loved one is killed by the NOPD. And so that was a major accomplishment, working with those families, but also is just a very unique lens and just being reminded about the people that are behind a lot of the cases that we hear about. And then I left there and went to Dallas and became the very first police monitor there. So walked into the office, it was just me in February of 2020. And as we all know, by March, we were in a pandemic. So it's hard enough to build an oversight office, period, but to build it in the beginning of a pandemic. So for the first almost year and a half, 2 years of my time in Dallas, it was building this office in terms of, and doing it in a worldwide pandemic. And so there was a lot there, and just learning, like literally walking in and building that team, building that staff, navigating. I had worked with 2 different police chiefs, so learned the value of importance of MOUs, right? Because when one police chief leaves and the next one's like, I don't have to do anything that you agreed to with the other one. And so one of the major accomplishments in that role was to actually co-write their body-worn release policy. And so I'm excited about that. And so in Dallas, in a big city, they release within 72 hours, which is normally unheard of, to have turnaround that quickly to release body-worn camera footage. And one of the addendums that I made to that policy at the time was to make it retroactive, so that families that had not seen the body-worn camera prior to this policy could go back and see it, because Dallas had started using body-worn cameras in 2016, so made it available to all the families prior to when the policy went into effect. And so really learned a lot there. And so now I'm in Philly, and I am the very first, the permanent director of the office. They had an interim. And so in this role, I'm learning a lot as well in terms of this city has a very strong FOP. And so really learning what does it mean to have oversight in a city where you have a strong police union. And so I think that I'm bringing these issues forward and letting you know the background, because I think having these unique experiences makes me somebody that has a unique perspective for this board. I think being able to understand as more and more cities come online, the struggles of starting it, trying to keep it, all the different struggles is going to be very important sitting on this board. And also the importance of one of the things that I hope is to grow our components. And so we do a phenomenal job. Many of us that are executive directors will be there on Sunday at NACOLE. I think that forum I went last year was incredible to be able to sit with peers from across the country. But I also know that we have other working groups, the investigators, as Jason leads, and others, and thinking about how do we have other component groups so that we can learn from each other. So this year, Philadelphia will be hosting a data working group and trying to figure out for those of us that work on data what we need. So one of my goals is to see how do we strengthen the different parts of NACOLE and the offices. You know, I also take part in the mediation working group as we are trying to figure out how mediation can be effective across the country. And so that's one of the goals, is to really see how we can strengthen our parts so that we are better as a whole. And so I am just really excited. I just believe in NACOLE since I started doing this work. I often refer to NACOLE as much as I can to others as they're thinking about starting oversight, but also just in terms of resources. And so and also just a little bit of background. I'm also a former defense lawyer, public defender, so I have a heart for the prison side as well. I'm having to advocate in that role many times for my individual clients around prison conditions and things, and knowing how it happens both sides. So the board member, I'm also excited to work with our oversight practitioners that do corrections. And so I think I'm just going to stop there because I know we have questions, and I look forward to the questions.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I just want to add that we have one more candidate that had to leave because of a family emergency, so she had to drop off the call. That's Miss Vanelia Goodwin Harden. You can visit our website and read her bio and candidate questionnaire. But as we move forward, just keep her in your thoughts and prayers right now. Okay, so it's time to take some questions, and I will start with a question. And please, attendees, feel free to go to the Q&A icon at the bottom of your screen. You can type in your questions, and I will pose those questions to each candidate. As once I ask a question, remember, no more than 3 minutes, please, so that we can get through everyone that wishes to answer a question. And I will call upon you individually to answer this question. So the first person to answer a question will be Ms. Yohara Alvarez. And the first question is, how has your involvement in NACOLE prepared you for the responsibilities of a board member, including chairing a NACOLE committee?
Yeah, that's a great question. I've participated in NACOLE at least since 2020. And in that time, it's exposed me to so many incredible people, not only in the United States, but overseas. We've hosted folks from Mexico, Eritrea, Ireland. And that's really just expanded my perspective on oversight and the different challenges. I understand that working at the nation's largest oversight body, there's so many privileges that come with that. But because of NACOLE, I've been connected to folks everywhere from, Nashville to Waco, places that want to start their own NACOLE. And it's been really great to connect with them because of the exposure that I've received at NACOLE. So with that, I feel like it's helped me really think about working together as opposed to, kind of leading the effort. I think it's really just listening to the concerns that other folks have and really using the experiences and tools that I have to really get them to where they need to be, as opposed to, having this one size fits all approach to oversight. Yeah.
Thank you. Let's see here. Mr. Pierce, same question. How has your involvement in NACOLE prepared you for the responsibilities of a board member, including chairing a NACOLE committee?
Well, first, I want to say that what it has done for me is, and I have to share Ms. Alvarez's language, but it has shown me the different variations of how oversight is done. When you get pigeonholed into one organization, you tend to think that's the best way. However, through that, I was able to see different ways of meeting with public administrators and other ways to manage research and oversight. And I think that can help me in the board be able to look at the old ways of doing things, the new ways of doing things, the things that are just emerging, to be able to bring that factor to the board. And how that would help me with chairing a committee would be to listen to every aspect of everything and try to get different practices to give us insight into how theirs works, so that we develop more of a comprehensive all ways approach, rather than a one, like Ms. Alvarez says, than a one size fits all. And I mean, we worked with the upstart of Maryland and Connecticut, seeing how people reacted to their new start, just has made it understandable that we need a big structure, a big umbrella to incorporate all the different ways of oversight, including all of the different things from city police to state police to corrections and I think NACOLE can grow in different ways, and I think I could bring that to the board.
Thank you. I'm starting to get a couple questions in. So, all right. Thank you, Ronald. So I want to hear from Ms. McClary on the same question. How has your involvement in NACOLE prepared you for the responsibilities of a board member, including chairing a NACOLE committee?
So I've had an opportunity to work with NACOLE in various ways. And so most recently, they have come to our office and trained our team and looked at assessing us and how we can do better. So have been able to form a very good working relationship with the leadership team there, Cami and Tina. And so have really learned from them a lot about the workings and how to build better. And so I think bringing that insight to the board is important. Also, when I was in Dallas, I was on the planning committee for the conference that was in Fort Worth. And so was able to actually sit with the team and actually plan the conference from the beginning to the end. So it would be really important in that way also to have seen how NACOLE puts together conferences. And then since I have been a member of NACOLE, I actually have been on one committee, which I'm excited about the entire time. I've been on the Membership Development and Support Committee, and I've had phenomenal chairs, NACOLE Barton, Bart Loge. And the good thing about those leaders is that they would encourage their members to chair certain parts of that committee. And so I've had a wonderful opportunity to be a chair, like a sub-chair, under the current board chairs on those committees, and actually work with people across the country on various aspects of membership development, most recently the peer-to-peer support program, and actually be in a leadership role, so under the leadership of the actual chairs. And so I think those experiences have really helped me because I've actually had hands-on experience actually being on committees And at chairing a subcommittee, I'm hopeful that I could take that and actually chair the committee itself. And so just being able to work with NACOLE at various levels has really prepared me to be able to contribute to the board and actually understand how NACOLE works, so to be able to hit the ground running as a board member.
Thank you very much. Mr. Three, same question. I'll repeat it if you need to.
That's okay. I think I recall it. I appreciate it.
All right.
So I would say that, both my experience inside and outside NACOLE would help in this area. And I want to say that I've learned so much from NACOLE, from the staff and from the other members and the board members. I've been on a couple of different committees over the years since 2016 when I got involved. And one was the annual conference committee, which was a real joy to work with Cami and staff and other members there to put on these conferences every year. And then to shepherd them through, during the conference and volunteer in that way. And then I've been working with the training and education committee for a couple of years now on the standards, putting together webinars, doing things like that. So there's a few things that I think those experiences have given me. One is like connections to all the wonderful members of NACOLE. And so, for example, right now I'm putting together a webinar panel on jail healthcare oversight. And the great thing is that because I've met so many people who work in these fields, I'm able to pick up the phone and call people and tell them, this is what I'm working on. What have you seen in this area? Are there other people I should talk to? What do you think are some of the solutions? And we have people across the country who are working in these areas and have different ideas and different perspectives that you can bring to bear on a question. So you can present a webinar, and those who are attending the webinar can take whatever may work in their location from that webinar and use it. I've, chaired and been president of a number of different organizations and boards. I know how to work with boards and people from different perspectives. I've enjoyed working with people from different perspectives in NACOLE, and I think I could bring those skills also to the project. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Now I want to shift a little bit. We got a question that came up that I think is pretty important. Individuals have expressed attack on the oversight because of the current administration. Please expand on what those attacks are and how you plan to address those attacks once on board. So let's see. Let's start with Mr. Logue. And I can repeat the question if you like.
I actually have it pulled up in the Q&A so I can see it. Thank you.
Okay, great.
Wow. Where do you even start with the attacks on oversight with the current administration? But whether it's local, state, or national, right? We've seen over the last couple of years where entire states have gotten rid of oversight, and we have to be able to respond to that. And I think right now I'm concerned about a green light being given to law enforcement to take whatever sort of actions. The ICE actions are really prominent in my city, and we're paying attention to that, and the tactics and the techniques that they use. We sure would not like to see them in our local police departments. But I think we have to be firm and consistent. NACOLE as a whole, we're 30 years into this, and we are the entity that people look to for support. But we're not as entrenched as other organizations like the ACLU and other entities which just have national reach, right? So expanding our national reach and our national voice and impact, I think, is really, really important. I've seen the board really kind of pay attention to that, particularly in the last 2 years, of focusing on the communications approach and how to get our voices out there. There's a lot of work behind the scenes that board members do, particularly in the executive levels, where they are helping those organizations under fire. Even at the local level, they've come to my support way back when, a couple of times actually, and I see it regularly, where we bind together. But the existential threat, right? That's a strategic priority for NACOLE. We put together a strategic visioning exercise, which we've kind of carried on throughout the year. So we want to be able to influence policies at the local, state, and federal levels. We want to eventually get to the place where we can influence public perceptions and understanding of what oversight is, but also what oversight is not. And then provide specific support to members and jurisdictions under fire, and then have NACOLE be the recognized leader which news organizations and whoever will actually turn to find those answers as the expert for that national voice to say, this is what it is, to rise to that level of prominence. So there's a variety of ways to get there. The nice thing is that we have just a great group of committee members focused specifically on this topic. And that's the board took that on as strategic priority number 2. Capacity was number 1. Addressing existential threats was strategic goals number 2. And that's going to influence all the committee work moving forward. That's where
Thank you.
I could go on and on. I'm sorry, but thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much, sir. Mr. Kaba, again, individuals have expressed attack on oversight because of the current administration, particularly the administration here in the U.S. Please expand on what those attacks are and how you plan to address those attacks or issues once on the board.
Thank you so much. I hope you can hear me with my earpiece.
Yes.
I see all the candidates on board. They're very, very excited and overwhelming in the world of civilian oversight. But individuals express their concern on the civilian oversight. I'll bring to you, they said, the origin of every advanced state is traceable from a primitive society. That is to say, if you want to see how America was in the past 50 years or 100 years, come to Africa or Sierra Leone, my country where I was born. So some of the things you are seeing happening in America is not oblivious that it's not happening in other countries. And maybe they are even worse. But my knowledge in civilian oversight from the grassroots and being part of the institutional building of oversight can enhance a confidence in people more in oversight. And we need to pay attention to oversight. So I'll bring you a bottom-top approach, and NACOLE will bring a top-bottom approach. What I mean by that, a bottom touch for me coming from the grassroots, from where people feel neglected, society don't pay attention to them, nobody's looking at them, government don't care about situation, about people being marginalized. And here is NACOLE based in the United States, being advanced country there. Everything you do is being on the spot and everything is being accounted for. So these are the mixed feelings you look at it. And I said last year, and I'm going to repeat again, I want a stronger partnership and NACOLE to expand its relationship. And I thank NACOLE for this opportunity. Let's say, for example, I'm from Africa, and you give me this platform to express exactly how does the civilian oversight of police complaint look like in Africa, and particularly in my country, in Sierra Leone, a country that is just coming from a war. So by this mixed feeling, in terms of my knowledge in institutional building and also my knowledge in legislative review, and in terms of my knowledge in complaints and investigation, I think will bring trust and confidence in the people that they think the civilian oversight is not to be considered. And let me tell you one thing, last more. For every robust civilian oversight institution has three-way approach. We have the external oversight, we have the internal oversight, and we have the civil society and the media. The external oversight is like, for example, the institution I'm working for as a government institution is an external oversight. The internal oversight is police themselves, among themselves, have their own complaint mechanism where they receive complaint against police officers who violate the rights of citizens. And civil society and the media organizations and other reputable institutions like the NACOLE, they fall under the last category. So NACOLE being at the center, that voice coming from the top, coming down to the grassroots level, I think it will be more important for people to listen, that civilian oversight must be paid attention to. And me coming with the experience again from the grassroots, it will be more pay attention to. So I'm sure by the time we have this mixed feeling, we'll have mixed ideology from the bottom top and the top bottom approach. We'll have it all and we'll get it right. We all have the same ideology. Saluting to everybody here on board. Everybody has a spirit of what we can do to strengthen and collaborate more in civilian oversight. So I follow that.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Wechter, haven't heard from you yet. I want to pose that same question because I'm interested in what your thoughts are on how we can expand on what those attacks are and how to plan and how you plan to address the issues and attacks once you're back on the board.
Well, I mentioned pushing the rock up the hill, and I feel like that hill became much steeper over the last 8 or 9 months with many of these attacks and changing climate. And I think there are 2 things I'd like to see us do. First, be prepared for what people identify as deficiencies. And this is something I've experienced in my career. You're biased. You don't understand what law enforcement does. You are anti-cop, a whole range of things. And the way to address that is show how professional we are. And this is something that I was very interested in when I first became involved in NACOLE. And I talked with colleagues. We don't have a code of ethics. We don't have any standards for how we should behave. And so I worked with what was then the Professional Standards Committee, and we created that code of ethics. We now have standards. We now have the essential components for effective oversight. We have a lot of research behind that. We have people who have served in law enforcement who are very, very much involved in NACOLE. Anthony is one of them. Charlie Reynolds is another, who will say that having been on both sides, we can see the benefits of civilian oversight. In fact, NACOLE's founders largely came from law enforcement. So we can pray that. And then we can talk about the benefits of oversight, how it can reduce liability, how it can reduce lawsuits and judgments, how it can help prevent those horrible singular incidents like George Floyd, like Michael Brown, that just tarnish the entire law enforcement profession. And you look at those and say, had those problematic officers been identified early on and that been remediated, that might not have happened. That culture might not have been one in which those officers felt comfortable behaving like that. I worked with a group on a white paper talking about how you can demonstrate the benefits of oversight. In other words, what metrics you can use. And we hope that's going to be more broadly disseminated on the NACOLE website. We put a lot of work into that, looking at things like rates of dismissal in court because of constitutional violations. If you can get those to diminish, well, that's beneficial to the law enforcement agency, beneficial to the prosecutors, and also can show that oversight is having a very positive effect on that agency. So I think if we take that multi-pronged approach, it's something I personally employed. I was most recently employed as an investigator in the city of Berkeley. And the first time I met the representative for the officers, who's an attorney in a very well-known police defense law firm, he said, "Jason, I tell officers they don't have to be fearful of you because I know you're going to be fair." Because he checked out my background and said, "I know you have taken the time to learn what our job is like. You've gone on ride-alongs, you've gone to conferences like IACP, you've done a lot of study, and you've shown that you are willing to listen and are going to apply that. And you're not coming into your interviews or into your investigations with any assumptions or prejudgments.
Thank you. Thank you. And I just want to add that in our Q&A box, there a couple of the candidates are preparing answers, typewritten answers, so that you can also read those answers to the question. But I wanted to give Ms. O'Hara and Ms. Tanya an opportunity as well to address the same questions. I think it's a very important question and is on everyone's mind. So I'm not sure who wants to go first. I will let you two ladies select. O'Hara, go ahead.
Yeah.
Do you see the question, or do you need me to read it?
Sorry, it's the same one from the Trump, like this current administration.
Yes.
Yeah. Not only is it an important question, I think it's the most important question. It's a multi-pronged approach. It's finding ways of enshrining oversight. One way of doing that is advocating for some legislative fixes. So one possibility could be if a municipality of a certain amount of population has a police department, it is required to have some form of oversight. And that's something that we could be advocating for on a state level. But as a national leader, it should be something that, you know, we include in our strategic plan and our goals for the board. Also, when it comes to, you know, small, you know, lowercase a advocacy, I know that NACOLE has been really crucial in attending local city council meetings in support of oversight. There should be ways of expanding that so that folks have that national lens kind of there at their local meetings. And then also, you know, funding is the thing that has been most under attack. So it's really trying to think outside of the box. I know that the Department of Justice has funded some NACOLE reports previously, but thinking about organizations like the Robin Hood Foundation, the Kellogg Foundation, the MacArthur Foundation, the Robert Wood Foundation, Arnold Ventures, places that have already donated money to organizations that share our mission, and really looking to expand that to include, you know, bar associations, big law firms, to really try to really fund a lot of the work that we're doing and making sure that we're helping not only NACOLE, but really just trying to protect even the concept of civilian oversight.
Thank you. Thank you. Tanya?
This is also a really important question. One of the things I should say is that I'm currently on the board of a few nonprofits whose work is impacted.
It's hard to hear you, Tanya.
Can you hear me now?
Much clearer. Yes, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So I'm on the board of several nonprofit organizations whose work is being impacted in this way as well. So boards that work on immigration issues, boards that work on other forms of policing, not just oversight, prison growth. And so we've been having a lot of conversations at the board level on how to protect these organizations, working with legal counsel and working with others, and putting together risk assessment groups and everything, and to talk about things even down to should meetings be recorded at this time under the current administration, how documents should be housed and things. And so being able to bring that kind of expertise, I think, to this board is going to be crucial in this moment, especially around policing, where we are starting to also see a lot of more impunity, a lot of kind of the green light on law enforcement to be able to kind of just do what they want to do and kind of do it without any kind of checks. And so being able to bring what I'm learning from these other areas to bear in terms of not only looking at NACOLE itself, but being able to bring some of this advice and things to our member organizations is going to be very, very important. But also, I've been spending a lot of time thinking about this as well in Philadelphia in terms of, you know, we were one of the cities that was being threatened to have the National Guard and other things come in. And so working with a lot of our local partners that work on these issues to figure out how we are going to ensure hopefully safety for our members, has been a topic of a lot of discussion that my office is engaged in. And so looking forward to being able to bring, so I may not have all the answers, but we'll hopefully be able to contribute to the conversation and help us think about ideas that will have rippling effects across the organization and its members.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. We got about 10 minutes left in our allotted time, and I want to. There was a question that was posed uh, that was specific for the president for Ms. Flo Finkel, and she has answered that in the chat, in the Q&A chat. So feel free to review her response. And also Ronald placed an answer to our last question in the chat as well. So thank you, Ronald. So feel free to review his response as well. So got about 10 minutes left. And I want to give each of you about 90 seconds to tell us, close out your comments, and leave us with some inspirational words as to why we should vote for you and you should be on our board. So start with Jason this time.
Certainly. Well, again, I would hope you would look at my candidate statements and bio. I have a long history of service to NACOLE on numerous committees, worked on many important NACOLE projects, including doing training for various board and commission members. In the past 2 years, I created and have facilitated NACOLE's monthly investigator forums, which is an opportunity for investigators to network, share information, share concerns, seek advice. And these are some of the projects I want to continue and expand on. I recently retired so I can devote my energies to NACOLE. I'm fortunately in a position where I am financially able to do that. And I feel this is where I can make my greatest contribution to oversight. So I hope I will be able to do that with another term on the NACOLE board, and I hope you consider that. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. Next will be Mr. Kaba. Yeah, 90 seconds, sir. You're muted.
Okay. So I am coming from a grassroots civilian oversight mechanism situations where we handle petty offenses, and when I have been involved in the training of as law enforcement officers on petty offenses and decriminalization of petty offenses, and also implementation of the Luanda guidelines, which has to do with the conditions of arrest and pre-custody in Africa. And I have also involved in the legislative review. So all of those knowledge will help to support my candidacy at the NACOLE board when I come on board. I have a vast knowledge in institutional knowledge. I have just engaged previously in many civil society organizations, non-profit civil organizations. I ensure that a public institution sign an MOU, a memorandum of understanding, with a non-profit organization like NACOLE to see how they can strengthen the partnership more. So these are the visions I bring on board, and I hope you will consider my candidacy. Because if you look at the situation we are in, like a NACOLE, you have NACOLE existing, but the legislative function, legislative power does not hold them to implement whatever they want to do. So by collaboration and strengthening a partnership with state institutions, and which I have vast knowledge in, we support more. So I bring on board this knowledge and ask you to vote for me.
Thank you, sir. Ms. McClary, 90 seconds.
I think this my sheer excitement about NACOLE, the way I've actually seen it work personally for me, the ability to have worked in offices in 3 different cities of all sizes and all expertise in those areas, even building offices from scratch. And so I think that that's really important to understand as we are starting to get more and more of our colleagues that want to come on board and do oversight, to be able to really help understand what is still needed in the foundations of organizations as this field expands, but also someone that has expertise on the prison side as well as the law enforcement side. I think it's going to be really important in bringing that perspective, and also the ability to be able to talk to a lot of our memberships also from a grassroots perspective, as well as a grass tops perspective, is really going to be important. And someone that can really just try to be an ear, having served on, a committee for a very long time, to be able to see it just evolve and grow and understand even how important our committee structures are to NACOLE is going to be very, very important. And so I think that just given my experience in this field, given the diversity of that experience, is going to benefit me as a board member as we're talking about things across the organization for NACOLE, and also coming with a vision to really strengthen our part. So how do we continue to have working groups with the various aspects of people that work in oversight so that we can have that peer-to-peer support and also help develop expertise across our field is going to be important. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Mr. Pierce.
Thank you. And first, let me say thank you for even the opportunity to run. I feel extremely honored just to be in the same room as some of the fantastic work that's being done in the name of jail, of prison, of oversight. I did sit on the Jail and Prison Oversight Committee. I bring a different perspective than most everybody else's. I bring the perspective of somebody that was in the position of the people that are being dealt with by the people we are overseeing. So I bring that perspective, but I also bring the perspective of somebody who has worked with the legislature to pass legislation to get independent oversight in New Jersey. I bring with me a plethora of different experiences working with the Institute for working on oversight of the consent decree for Newark, New Jersey, as well as being the deputy ombudsperson for the New Jersey Correction Ombudsman's Office, Ombudsperson's Office. And I think I could just bring a clarity of viewpoints that I don't think everybody else can bring. And I could bring what's abstract in our minds to what's real in the world. And I think that's where my strong suit is, as well as my research. And I thank you again for allowing me to run.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Alvarez.
I echo that sentiment. I'm really excited to even be running. And I really feel that what I'm bringing to the table is a sense of urgency, some inherent passion, excitement, and the skill set and experience that being a member of the board really calls for. We've seen in our respective agencies that innovative, creative ideas that the organizations that we oversee come up with year after year. It feels like we're constantly catching up. And I think, to really meet this moment, we really need to be thinking outside of the box and to reinvent ourselves and really start thinking about really expanding our approach, bringing more people in, and really just protecting the work that we're all doing to make sure that, it's here for our next generation. And as NACOLE is growing and expanding, I really find it, a privilege to support that work and to be part of that growth. So thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Threet.
Okay, thank you so much for this opportunity to speak to you all, to be here with these awesome individuals who are also running for the board. And I've really gotten a lot just from the conversations I've had with people since deciding to run. So win-win, regardless of whether I get on the board. I love NACOLE. It's been my professional home, and would love to further serve on the board if elected. So I think I bring a unique perspective in many ways. I'm from a marginalized community. I have childhood trauma that informs the way I approach the world and how I react with folks in this work. I think that I have a really varied professional experience that I can bring to this that I think has some value. I've worked in legislative context. I've worked as a policy analyst. I've been a litigator on both the civil and criminal side. I've run political campaigns, and I've worked in oversight doing audits, policy work, community engagement, investigations. So I really have a lot of experience that I think is beneficial and would benefit the board and NACOLE. I'm also partially retired, and when I choose where I want to spend my time, it's because it's in an area that I really value and I really love, and that's what NACOLE is. And I also want to say that even though I think I might bring a lot in terms of what I bring to the position as a board member if elected, I think the real strength of NACOLE is in the membership. And that's why I want to emphasize again that I want to do outreach to our members, our organizational members, and to the extent possible to individual members to find out what their ideas are about how our organization can better serve them. So thank you very much. I appreciate the time and opportunity, and I hope you'll consider my candidacy.
Thank you. Thank you. Bart?
All of a sudden, my mouse went away. We've only done Zoom for 5 years now. Hey, I love these forums, right? They're a little nerve-wracking to get in, but this is just a glimpse of what our membership has to offer, and this is the reason I want to be on the board. We're just surrounded by people who are just absolute professionals, and they just make us better every step along the way. I think my big issue is that I say yes, and I probably say yes a little bit too much. I saw the question regarding time commitments, and there's been times, depending on the project I've been tasked with, I've given more than 20 hours in a week to board work. And then when you say yes a lot, they'll ask you to do even more. Anthony asked me to be the board secretary. It's not a simple task, and it requires even more. And there's times when the minutes go out at 2:30 in the morning. I just say that I'm committed to doing what it takes to advance the work of NACOLE. I'm very committed, and I've been part of building the capacity. I was on the strategic planning committee before we brought on employees. And we've got to actually accomplish tasks along the way where we are building capacity step by step by step. We have to have that long-term vision to see what's NACOLE going to be in 2030, 2050, long after we're gone. We need to do the work now so that people can benefit from it. I'm willing to do that work. I love running committees. I love people like Tanya McClary who have stood up and taken on subcommittee work, because it takes each person working on the committee to accomplish even more, and we're better because of it. I'm fully prepared for the board work. My qualities are I'm committed, I'm available, and I will follow through. And if you give me the chance to work on the board again, I'll continue to do so. And if you choose someone else, like I said, you just can't go wrong with this group. They're just fantastic, and I'm really grateful to be on this panel with you. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I do want to give George and Flo an opportunity to say something if they wish. If they wish. Got a minute. Got 60 seconds. No?
I
What?
look forward to serving as NACOLE's president. We have a lot to do.
Yeah, Anthony, I would say, thank you for the forum and for everyone that attended and for your time, the grace of your time and your expertise. I think that listening to you folks talking today really enhanced my understanding of your background and what you bring to the organization. And I look forward to working with each one of you, whether it's on the board or members of committees, because I think that you bring quite a lot of strength to the work that we do, and I'm appreciative of your interest and your time. So thank you.
Thank you both. Thank you all. And just want to leave you with a little announcement that you will get to during the conference. You will have an opportunity to spend some one-on-one time with each of our candidates at Coffee with the Candidate. That's the unofficial name of the event, which will be Tuesday, October 28th at 7:30 a.m. Location to be determined once we get our room set up. But that'll give you an opportunity to, again, asking questions, meet with the candidates, and of course, you can spend time with them throughout the conference. So thank you, each and every one of you. Have a wonderful day, and that concludes our forum. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a
Thank you
good
for
day.
Thank you,
running.
everybody.